are doing immense work in emerging technologies like cloud. And it will be our pleasure to invite them to share the operations of the organization and how they are contributing to the regime of Digital India, how they are contributing to highlight to this Digital India regime of Government of India. So if the PPT is set, I invite for technology presentation Shri Anand Bhagwatula, Head of Sales, State Government, SIFI Technologies Limited. Please invite him with a round of applause. I request the audience. So.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know I'm standing between you and the lunch, but I'll try to wind it up as fast as possible. I represent SIFI Technologies, and we have been doing substantial work in the government space, and I'll just take you through a few slides just to tell you what exactly we are doing there. Okay, this is the index, so I'll just skip it. We are a Chennai headquartered company established in 1995. We are also listed in the NASDAQ in 1999, and incidentally we are the first ICT company from India to be listed in NASDAQ. We are one of the leading Indian providers of ICT services, including enterprise, managed IT and software services. And we are the original internet pioneers, now a pioneer in providing cloud and SaaS services in the Indian market. We have revenues of close to around 1300 crores, which we have closed in the month of March 2015. Our business maturity, we started in the initial days as a consumer broadband and portal company. We developed into an enterprise class data center and network service company, and presently SIFI 3.0, we have emerging as an ICT solutions and services company. And this is exactly where we wanted to refocus and explain to you. Our current practices have been categorized into two. One is the products and the practices. We have a telecom services and the data center services, which have been age-old with us right from 1995 onwards. We have been in this business. We have also now grown into the other areas wherein we are doing the technology integration services, which is basically more towards doing the data center build, network integration, LAN, WAN, information security, end-user computing. We are now very strongly focused on cloud and managed services. We have our IT infra operation services, IT transformation services. We also do a lot of remote infrastructure management and on-site. Very few people know that SIFI is also into applications, because SIFI has always been predominantly been into the connectivity business, but we do have a very strong application integration services, wherein we do a lot of application testing, mobility solutions. We have our own e-learning platform and patented product for e-learning. We have tools, processes, and automations. This is one thing which I would like to share with you. The largest MPLS network in the world is being handled by us. We have connected 30,000 Indian post offices across the country. This is one of the largest projects which Department of Posts have come up last year, about 2 years back, I'm sorry. And I'm very happy to announce that out of this 30,000, close to around 29,000 links have already been completed in a span of 18 months period. I do not know how many of you are aware, but there is something called e-money order, which has recently been started by Indian Post. that is going to be basically riding on this entire network which we have created for Department of Post. Now I come to the main focus area where we are actually having it is with regard to the cloud. Now our cloud product is called Cloud Infinite, and hence we call it SIFI Cloud Infinite Journey. So just let me take you through in a few seconds. We started this initiative in 2010. Then we deployed our first release for SIFI Cloud Services in 2012. We deployed the second release in 2013. And in 2014, which we have been calling at 2.5, has been released specifically for the services of state data centers. Out of the 6 state data center cloud services RFPs which have been released last year, SIFI has been able to back 5 states. Those are Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Kerala and Meghalaya. Our cloud strategy roadmap, let me quickly take you through this. We currently give services on infrastructure as services, platform as services, and we started as a private cloud hosting, then we also have a public cloud hosting, and now we have a hybrid cloud, and we are also moved into a cloud federation situation. Why SIFI Cloud Platform? The most important thing that here I would like to emphasize is that this is a completely indigenously made and a Make in India initiative. This is something that we are very, very proud both in SIFI and with our customers. We are talking in terms of why SIFI Cloud Platform. It has a heterogeneous focus, adhering to the open standards. It is handling the multi-tenancy and rich network security capabilities for the NGDC cloud network, multi-virtualization support, which supports VMware, Hyper-V, Red Hat. It's a private cloud, public cloud setups. We are doing a powerful, secure self-service portal, particularly from metering and billing and reports, which is very useful and which is customizable. And we have been able to integrate this with the payment gateway. So all these are value propositions why SIFI's platform is now gaining strength in the state departments and the state government departments. I'm pleased to announce that we are the first cloud service provider to have received the SSAE 16 SOC 2 accreditation. And we also feature in the Gartner's Magic Quadrant for Asia Pacific 2014. So these are 2 important milestones in terms of our cloud services. Sorry. As I was just mentioning to you, these are the 5 state data centers out of the 6 state data centers which have gone in for a cloud solution. Today we have it in Rajasthan, we have it in Meghalaya, we have it in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Kerala. Incidentally, Madhya Pradesh was the first one wherein we have completed the FAT, and I'll also explain. These are the various values that my customers are today getting, particularly from the government segment. We are able to deliver a unified IT as a service to different government departments, which I will be able to demonstrate in the next slide. We simplify the IT provisioning and management. We ensure a centralized consolidated IT infrastructure for different government departments. We improve the infrastructure utilization. We do a faster IT provisioning and dynamic scalability by virtue of a platform. It's a self-service portal for tenants, multi-hypervisor, which is very, very critical, and administration purpose, and we ensure metering and chargeback. This is a slide I wanted to just focus and just give you a feel of it. This is the first state, exactly about 3 months back, which has gone for the cloud solution on a state data center. And today there are 23 departments 23 departments application are running on Madhya Pradesh State Data Center on our cloud platform, which is catering both to the education segment. I have highlighted it specifically because keeping in mind with the theme of this conference today, it is catering to both the education segment, it is catering to the health departments, it is catering to the policing, and of course the other areas which Madhya Pradesh government has. There's another interesting thing that we do, and that is called e-procurement. This is another area where we are growing. I'll just quickly run through. Basically, we ensure the intent management, vendor management, e-tendering, and purchase order management. And most important is, for a government department, e-tendering today is a very, very crucial thing. And in majority of the cases, it's also mandated as per the rules that they have to process most of the tenders through the e-tendering. We have successfully deployed this in Government of Maharashtra and is on live from July 2010. We are catering to 67 departments of Maharashtra government. We have floated 58,000 tenders. A cumulative tender value of close to about 80,000 crores has been done in the last 4.5–5 years. We are also taking care of Mumbai Metropolitan Regional Development Authority, MMRDA, recently done. We've recently won for Mauritius and the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. So this is another area where we are focusing apart from the cloud. These are certain awards and accolades that SIFI Technology as an organization has been achieving and achieved over a period of last 8–10 years. I will not get into the specifics. That's all I have from my side. The objective was to just give you a brief representation in terms of understanding what exactly SIFI Technologies does. Of course, apart from this, we are into telecommunication, we are into various other segments, but we wanted to focus in the newer areas where we have recently put all our focus here. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I request if somebody has any questions or any queries to ask.
Yeah, either they can do it here or I'm available for the next 2 days. My team is also here, so we can also have an informal.
Okay. So any questions right now? Okay. So, sir, please stay here because now I request Dr. Ravi Gupta, CEO, Let's Techno Media, to present a token of welcome and token of thanks to sir and as well as the SIFI, and present a memento. So, presenting a memento to Shri Anand Bhagwatula. Thank you very much, sir, who is heading Sales State Government for SIFI Technologies. And now it's time to move on for the next session. We are a little short of time. So I request my colleague Garima Pant to briefly tell us about this session as well as how elets is contributing in the sector of securing cyberspace with emerging technologies like cloud.
The focus for this session would be securing cyberspace, leveraging cloud and other technologies. Elets as an organization has been bringing to the fore use of technology like cloud and upcoming innovations in technology for securing cyberspace and to improve national safety and security. Using the event platform of Secure IT. Through its last 6 events, Elets has brought together stakeholders that have been keeping our nation secure. As we move towards realization of the Prime Minister's vision of Digital India, the importance of the security of data becomes even more critical. A glimpse of our previous events. Today's session focus would be on how to be secure against digital threats, best technology initiatives taken against cyber threats, challenges and the way forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Garima. One of elets' premier events is Secure IT, which we are doing from the last so many years. And the key stakeholders like Department of IT and Ministry of Home Affairs have always been part of such events such events like Secure IT. So without any delay, I invite our esteemed panelists for the next session, which is on securing cyberspace and how these new technologies can be an opportunity for improving cybersecurity in governance space especially, and also how these new emerging technologies can also be a challenge, and how can these new technologies can also be vulnerable in terms of security, and what are the solutions for that. So thankfully we have government perspective here in this session, as well as industry perspective, police perspective especially. We have in this summit, in this session especially. So without wasting time, I will invite panelists on stage, and we have the session chair with us, who has just joined, who is moderating actually this session. So I invite him first on stage, Shri Sanjay Sahai, Additional Director General of Karnataka Police. Please invite him with a round of applause. He's a very interesting speaker, and his presentation and his always his address is very interesting. So we are very thankful, sir. We are also, do we have Mr. Kalsi here, or is he joining? Hi, Mr. Kalsi, who is Mr. Dr. Nirmaljeet Singh Kalsi, who is Additional Chief Secretary of Government of Punjab, who was earlier in Ministry of Home Affairs. He's on his way, so he is joining us shortly to share his perspective. We have Mr. Shri Rajit Punhani, who is Joint Secretary, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, with us. I request sir to please join us on stage. A round of applause for Mr. Punhani, who has joined us right from Delhi. We have industry perspective, we have Sifi Technologies Limited, and I invite Shri Shankar Narayanan, Associate Vice President, Security Services, Sifi Technologies Limited. And when you talk about security, you talk about surveillance. And today we have a company with us who completes your surveillance. When we say कि ऊपर वाला सब देखता है, तो ऊपर वाला कैसे देखता है, और what is the power behind that? To share that with us, ऊपर वाला सब देखता है is an ad which comes on TV. So this company will tell you how they contribute, how they complete this phenomena of ऊपर वाला सब देखता है, of like the cameras, the surveillance cameras you put in, how they complete that surveillance. In that we have a representative from COMSA. COMSA is a company who provides services to surveillance. And we have Mr. Gautam Goradia, Chief Executive Officer of COMSA, with us. Please invite him with a round of applause. And before starting this session, before asking Mr. Sahai to moderate, I request Mr. Goradia to give a presentation, please.
So good afternoon, delegates, respected delegates, panelists, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who were at the networking dinner yesterday, I mentioned that ComSir is a crime prevention technology. And this technology will not only prevent crime and losses, but in case of crime, it will help solve crime faster. One of the things that is going to be my intention in these next 10 minutes is to kind of break the myth about Upar Wala Sab Dekhta Hai. Because there is only one Upar Wala, and that is God. He is the only one who is really looking at things. There is no other Upar Wala who looks at what's happening, and that is what I want to begin my talk with. I also want to lay stress on the emphasis that, you know, we all know in India the Home Department is not governed by the central government, so to speak. Every state has its home department. And what we are trying to do is bring in a lot of standardization in security aspects, because non-standardization brings us nothing but confusion. So I had the opportunity of speaking at Interpol about how crime can be solved faster by standardizing incident reports, and I want to talk about that to you as well. So let's talk about this thing about Upar Wala Sab Dekhta Hai. In the last 1 month, we have been seeing this beautiful advertisement, very nice, very creative job, where they try to say that, you know, you've got CCTV cameras, so aap pakde jaoge. But that's absolutely not true. And if this Upar Wala is looking at what's happening, then how did this case take place? Smriti Irani case, I have particularly chosen this case because I'm in the state of Goa. And there was a camera there, and I was hoping that the SP of police, Mr. Karthik Kashyap, who handled this, who was supposed to be on this panel, would be here. If you see what happened, the camera was at its right place. There was nothing wrong with the camera. But the staff involved, there was somebody involved within the organization who changed the position of the camera. And the position of the camera was pointing towards the changing room. And that is how this incident took place, and it had been happening for the past 4 months. So the police, as you can see, has mentioned very clearly that the management itself is also responsible because of the fact that the surveillance cameras were not being monitored. These are all recent incidents. The Petroleum Ministry corporate espionage case. The camera operator himself switched off the CCTVs to help the theft of the documents. This is what Delhi police says. So over a period of time, every time these people came to steal the documents, the cameras were off. So kaun sa upar wala dekh raha hai? A few weeks ago, there was a shootout at Vakola police station in Mumbai. One police inspector shot another police inspector, and when they tried to find the evidence, they realized that the CCTV camera was not working. So I'm trying to prove a point, but let's go through a few things, because it's a myth that everything ends with installation of CCTV cameras. It's a complete myth. $300 million looted in April at the Hatton Garden London Jewellery Deposit Vault. It's one of the most guarded deposit vaults. They dug through 20 inches of concrete, as you can see, 20 inches of concrete. And in the other side, you can see that this van was seen twice after they realized this theft started on a Friday afternoon and ended on Tuesday. So for 4 days, these guys were inside and nobody realized. So which Uparwala was looking? In Mumbai, as well as in Bangalore, sir, we've had cases of child molestation in schools. And there's been pretty much trouble in Bangalore. And this is a case that took place in Mumbai. Again, same case, child molestation. When they tried to find the video footage, the footage was not available. The CCTV recorder had failed. So, kaun sa upar wala dekh raha hai? I was hoping that Sri Suresh Prabhu would be here today because the government announced a huge budget for CCTV cameras to monitor Swachh Bharat on the railway stations. But if you're not going to look and you're not going to monitor, you're going to get cases like this. There was an abduction of a boy. When they tried to find the footage, the video footage was hazy, and it was hazy because why? There was a lot of dust on the cameras. BEST buses has cameras, but the committee member of the BEST bus says that our cameras are dummy. Committee member of BEST buses. And in some of the buses you don't have recorders. So now what do you have the camera for? In the case of a hospital, 2 women were arrested for stealing a baby, and they were posing as nurses. So unless you monitor, unless you review, you will never realize all these things. In this case, a jeweler, a plumber and an electrician went to his store, stole his jewelry, had lunch with him, killed him, and ran away with the recorder. Where is the police ever going to get the video recording from? Few days ago, theft at a bank. Robbers went away with the ATM. They took away the entire ATM machine. The police station was 300 feet away. They took away the entire ATM. It was a pre-planned robbery, and the robbers were aware that the cameras were not working. Horrific incident in Peshawar. Same problem. The schools have reopened, and the army is guarding those schools. My question is, for how long will the army be able to guard these schools? After the attacks in Paris, 10,000 police officers have been asked to guard 700 Jewish schools. My question is, how long can they do that? After Peshawar and Paris, the CBSE board as well as the center, they issued guidelines that you must put more CCTV cameras in your schools. But I have already proven to you that installation of cameras is only the beginning. The moral of the story, and one of the as you can see in the second point, is one of the guidelines is also that every morning a guard has to do a visual anti-sabotage check. How is it ever going to be possible? Is the guard even trained to know what is a bomb look like? It's okay to issue instructions, but more needs to be done. So moral of the story, as you can see, is CCTV is not enough. You need to do more. And what is the more that you need to do? You need to carry out post-facto surveillance. You need to review CCTV on a daily basis as a standard operating procedure. You need to back up CCTV footage at remote locations so that if your recorder is destroyed, stolen, fails, you still have a backup. And when there is a criminal incident, please help the police by filing an incident report in a standardized format, which our technology will help you to do in PowerPoint. When you review CCTV as a standard operating procedure, it's a simple thing. You know, we've got these kind of tools which are CCTV review books. All you need to do is to just review them from time to time, and you'll find amazing things. You'll find things which video analytics cannot show you. You'll find things like guards are sleeping. You'll find things like maybe a kid is being taken to a floor where she should not be at a school. You'll find today that a guard is missing from his place. No camera system or analytics for which you are charged crores will be able to tell you that. Therefore, you need to use the human mind. Human intelligence is very important, which is being ignored. And why doesn't anybody carry out review? Why has the world tried to go towards more and more analytics and more automation? Because it is very difficult to carry out post facto surveillance. It is very difficult to find out what happened in the past 24 hours. But if there is technology that's available that makes those 24 hours possible to be reviewed in as little as 1 hour or 2 hours, then you will start doing it. And then the scenario changes. So most of you must have come across these kind of signages. Somebody says, warning, these premises are under CCTV protection. Somebody even asks you to smile, that you are being watched. These are all kinds of different standards. On your tables, you will see something like this. If you see on each of your tables, there is a sticker that says, we check CCTV every day. Now imagine that if each organization keeps this kind of signage, two things happen immediately. Number one, a potential perpetrator of a crime is going to think 10 times before he commits the crime. Because now he knows that people are becoming more responsible and they are checking CCTV on a daily basis. If this kind of signage becomes a standard signage across, then there is no confusion. Everywhere a person goes, whether he goes to Bank of India, whether he goes to Canara Bank, whether he goes to Fab India, whether he goes to a jeweler, he gets to see one sign, one message that says, we check CCTV every day, so you better be careful. The second thing that I want to talk about is how you can help the police solve crime faster. So if there is a criminal incident that takes place, let's say at a bank, Bank of India or Canara Bank, and you know we have spoken about this, Sevikji, the police investigating officer comes in and asks you basically only 7 questions. 5 W's, 1 H, and do you have CCTV? What happened? Where did it happen? When did it happen? Why did it happen? Who were the people involved and how did it happen? Now, imagine that once you have done your job and given the police their information, how about giving the police the entire incident report which our technology will create in PowerPoint? So if the crime takes place at this hotel, and the local police is involved, you just give them a soft copy of that PowerPoint. In one click, they will be able to share that incident report across Goa and across the neighboring states of India. So this is how crime comes down, and this is how crime can get solved faster. And you reduce the burden of the police force. Because of standardization, now you begin to get intelligence. You begin to know what type of crime or what type of incidents are taking place on what days, what area, what time, what location. This allows you to take corrective and preventive action. Speaking about standardization, one of the challenges that police has, and yesterday I was speaking with Rajit here, one of the challenges that they have is, when they receive information, let's say from Interpol, about suspected terrorists, how do they share this information with police officers across the country? There is no standard format. So why not adopt a standard format in a Word document, which the technology will create for you with one click, which is easily editable and accessible by any police officer on the road or at an immigration point. During the Boston bomb blast case and the Toronto riots case, the police had to go through thousands of hours of video. Our technology will make it easy for law enforcement agencies in such cases to help solve crime faster. Finally, I just want to show you one short video which will open our eyes
双崖山金宝贝幼儿园里，老师靠棍棒维护秩
the
序。
fact that in
这
spite
位
of the
身穿
fact
蓝
that
色
they've
衣服
got
的女老
CCTV,
师不
see
断
what
挥舞
happens
手
in
中
this
的木
school.
棍，并不时地对孩子们进行呵斥和拍打。这边一男一女两个孩子摔倒在地上，这位女老师见状，抬腿就是一脚，
Is this why
将
you
摔倒
send
的
your
男
children
孩
to
踹出
school?
了至少半米。之后，老师扶起了女孩，却没有理会趴在地上的男孩。这会儿，球拍成了他教育孩子的工具。只见他从穿粉色裙子的女孩手中接过了球拍，然后在一个男孩的头上敲打了。
So in conclusion, I'd try to say that take security seriously. It's everyone's responsibility. और ऊपर वाला कुछ नहीं देखने वाला है. ये काम हम सबका है. It's our property, our families, our assets. We need to protect them ourselves. Thank you very much.
Please. Thank you, sir. I request you to join us. As I introduced earlier, it was a good presentation on what Upperwala sees and what not. So we move on for the discussion. And before we move on, I just want to announce once again that tomorrow at around 12:15, a one-on-one discussion with industry representatives will happen in the presence of Chief Minister, Chief Secretary and Department of IT, Secretary IT and key representatives from Department of IT. So all who are interested, please join us for that. So now I hand over the session to ADG Karnataka Police, Mr. Sahai. Sir.
Good afternoon, friends. So first and foremost, I thank Gautam for having given an excellent presentation. And now slowly we move on to the topic, securing cyberspace, leveraging cloud and other new technologies. I'll give a brief introduction. Post the introduction, we'll open it to the panel. They will have their 5, 7 or 10 minutes of presentation, and then we'll have a question-answer session. Now, how many of you know how big is the cyberspace? Let's have a bit of an interaction rather than a monologue from my side. How big is the cyberspace? Any answers? No answers. Okay, we'll get into as to how big is the cyberspace in a minute from now. But how many of you believe that all that data will eventually leak? So this whole leaking business has finally reached the iCloud, which was supposed to be one of the most secure locations on what you call as your cloud computing. So that is where it has reached. And what I call as a breaking news, I started 2 months back, I still maintain it as a breaking news, is that $14 billion is what President Barack Obama has proposed to boost the US cyber security defenses. Now how much we will be needing, we're not sure of. And the best part of the story is, I think this would be the first real public-private enterprise in the world. Because the expertise, the skills, the laws, the policies, procedures, they have to supplement and complement each other. It has to supplement each other. And to supplement that, we have an executive order from President Barack Obama regarding sharing data between the companies themselves and sharing it with the government. And they are also thinking of creating a new agency by name Cyber Threat Intelligence Integration Center, which will be at the underbelly of FBI, CIA, Department of Homeland Security, and also provide cyber intelligence to the private enterprises. So that is where we are. Now that you people did not decide to tell me as to what the cyberspace is all about, this is the cyberspace definition of 2008. I'll not go into the details of it. Suffice to say that it covers literally anything and everything under the sun, and there's absolutely nothing which is outside the cyberspace. So how big is the cyberspace? I think it has crossed even 40 billion. It will cross much beyond that with the Internet of Things coming into operation. So this is what the cyberspace is all about. And there's absolutely nothing in the present day, they call it the Uber connected world, which is outside the cyber world, outside the digital world, outside the digital enterprises. And the way things are moving, I think we are literally stripped out of every confidentiality and privacy. We had the Patriot sort of act very recently in France, post the Charlie Hebdo. So what I say is cyber is the world. So what I say is cyber is the world. Actually the physical world you can live without interacting in the physical world, but it is next to impossible if you don't interact in the cyber world or you don't maintain your systems like SCADA and all that for your vital installations. I don't think anything is going to function. So that is where we stand as of now. Now the issue is whether the cyber world was designed with security in it. Security happens to be an inbuilt component of the cyber world or not, and whatever the history shows an evolution of software, networking and all technologies related, it shows that security has not been a design element. So that is the place from where this whole issue arises, and it is crash commercialization. Initially it started with the R&D sort of an issue with your DARPANET and all that, and finally moved on to crash commercialization. That is where we are, and that is where all these issues have arisen in last so many years. Out of the 500 Fortune 500 companies, 97 has been hacked. And the 3% which has supposedly not been hacked, actually have been hacked, they are unaware of it. So that is how the story goes. So there is nobody today who remains unhacked. So that is the story which I want to tell you, and how vulnerable we have become today. That is the message I want to send it across to you. And there will be lots of people who will be talking about hacking, hacking and hacking. And I think over last 1 year, I have also read a lot about hacking, and I thought hacking is the issue which the cyber world is facing, and hacking is the challenge which the cyber security faces. Unfortunately, that is not the issue. There are lots and lots of issues which is facing the cyber world today, and let me tell you with extreme amount of clarity that it is not a police issue, it is not an IT issue, it is not a cyber issue. It literally affects our existence to the minutest level. Your social life, the politics of nations, literally anything and everything. There is absolutely no world outside this. So let me tell you very, very clearly, whether it is the Arab Springs or it is the Anthem League, the manner in which you are affected is mind-boggling. There's a 15-year-old girl and they get a message from one of these maternity shops or whatever. And the father got angry, no, it cannot be like this. So he showed something on the social media, and that was the reality. It is breaking families. I think in 81% of the divorce cases in the US, Facebook is cited as an evidence. So that is where we are. Cyber security happens to be the biggest emerging threat to mankind. We have over and over again found ways and means to get over threats which try to decimate mankind. And in the digital world, I think Y2K was the last one which we faced. But I think we are facing a much bigger threat. I'll not get into details of what the system should provide. We'll keep moving ahead. We had 3 phases of intrusive, disruptive and destructive. We have the present day destructive attacks. We had lots of hackers who used to get in on fun, then some amount of money, then extortion and the like. Today they are wiping out the whole source code. Adobe has been selling antivirus products which source code has already been stolen. So you are buying a product, antivirus, for your security, and that source code is already, it is ripped apart. So that is where we stand. And I have seen lots of vendors in my professional career in last 5-7 years. They promise the moon and don't deliver you anything because those things are not available. It's very difficult to challenge something like Anonymous. It's very difficult to challenge NSA. Somebody, whichever, whether it is government or otherwise, you are ripping open the whole internet. Then what will you save? Correct. So this is what we have come from: curiosity, revenge, monetary gain and the like to. Now, who are the actors? Who are the stakeholders? Who is playing what role? You have a play or any of our great epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata and all that, and you don't know who is playing what role. Can you run it? Possibly you can't. But this is precisely the place where we have finally reached, where we are not aware of the fact as to who is playing what role. So we have all sorts of players in that: internal security, external security, rogue state, cyber security, money laundering, literally anything and everything which is covered. And beyond that, we have the state and the non-state actors. So wherever it is extremely convenient, so you get this logic of non-state actors. Who is state, who is non-state? It is a confusion which I think only the future will decide. Now, who will secure the cyberspace? End to end you start. The cyberspace basically operates on a global dynamic real-time basis. The globe operates on the concept of a nation state, a sovereign state, the law which is specific to that country. And you come down to law and order, it operates at the provincial level. It is in the state list as far as India is concerned. Is it like any other security? Certainly it's not like any other security. First, the problem itself is ubiquitous, and so the challenge also remains at a very high level: expertise and skills and other issues which also come into play. Do we know what we want to secure and which are the agencies? So we neither have a gap analysis, nor do we have a resource analysis, nor do we have a detailed project report, but we have a very fond hope that one fine day we'll be able to sort out this issue. And that also comes to the question where we have the wherewithal to do it or we don't have the wherewithal to do it. I run a system which is known as Police IT in Karnataka. So it is a software which is an ERP, and we have our own networking and we run our own data center. And there after we got a POC done by FireEye, and this is what has come out. And I don't think in last 5-6 years of his operation we were aware of any of these things. There is some EPT30, I think there was some malware which was running out from I think China, which was taking care of whole of the Southeast Asian. It was running on a system wherein it was like providing complete website services. So they had shift duties, they have literally anything and everything which was going on. So what has actually happened is that since mankind came into existence, our thought process has been linear. And today we have landed in a situation where everything is exponential and so is crime. To rob a guy, you have to make so much of an effort. To rob 110 million customers, I think it is so easy. Correct. And there is everybody to help you out. There is a whole underground economy which operates. So literally anything and everything, you have privacy laws. Those privacy laws are, I think, the biggest destroyers of privacy. So hacker today is in the center of the cyber universe. These are the other issues which keep cropping. We'll not get into the morality or ethics of it. Needless to say that we are moving in a direction where it is a world where information cannot be hidden. And that being the case, there will be people like Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, and Bradley Manning, which will rip open all the confidentiality and privacy which the governments enjoy across the globe. So that is the direction in which we are moving in, unless we take up the challenge that cyber security is also a part of a nation's responsibility. We have not been seeing, ISIS is being handled by anonymous. Primarily when they have not been able to control nearly 800 Twitter accounts, it was anonymous which came out and disabled these accounts. So this is where the responses of the governments have been in last couple of years. We have protected systems, what we call in this country, but we generally don't have any of these protected systems which have been put into by legislative enablements and maintained in that particular manner. Cloud is creating all sorts of other issues, and we literally don't know where the cloud is. And when you run governments, you ought to know as to where, what is located and in which manner. And it should not happen that tomorrow you don't have the service provider. Leave aside all large number of back-end issues. These are the couple of types of attacks which we get into, and they say that the world's largest zoo is 10 million different species as the McAfee's malware zoo. This is one of the great softwares which was created, and finally it played with the Nantes nuclear plant. And it was very deliberately decided by the government of the US. So rather than going in for any military option or any option of that type, they created this software which went into the whole system, took around 6 months, and finally affected those centrifuges in that Nantes nuclear power plant. So this is the level of precision where people are getting into, and it is very clearly taken as another mode of warfare. The biggest threat to cyber security is us. So 80% of whatever happens at the primary level is because of the human error, whether it is installation of software or in whichever way you use your password. The most famous password is password 123. So that is how the world moves, and that is supposed to be the biggest key, most widespread and most omnipresent key on the face of this earth. So, and if you take it on a slightly exponential level, if the contributory negligence of the software developer or the software engineer is also taken into consideration, then the reality is that this whole mess which has been created has been their creation. So we will move further. I'll just flag one or two issues, and then I'll hand over the stage to my panel members. So very small things like end users didn't think before clicking, weak password, insecure configuration. This patch management, India, everybody feels that as long as you have a laptop with you, there is nothing else you should invest in. And rest, whatever comes with the laptop. China being one of the real active, aggressive cyber armies or whatever you call it, I think they are attacked the most. For the simple reason that they believe only on pirated software and don't believe in patch management. So that is where the whole issue is. And there is a complete digital underworld which I think no country wants to touch. Reasons we don't know. What are the final underpinnings of the commercial world and how it operates? I am nobody to comment on that. But the reality is that there is something more than what meets the eye. And in a forum like this, certainly we'll discuss things of that nature. Only 4% of the internet is in the public web, and 96 are very, very deeply protected in a manner that it generates billions and billions of dollars, but is of no gainful social or economic use. We had this Sony breach. And I think Sony was hacked a couple of times in 2012 and 13 also. So finally, I think the same story gets repeated. So lip service is the name of the game, and we don't learn lessons. That's the biggest lesson we have. So whatever come may, we don't learn lessons. Now there are a couple of things which are deliberately being done to forestall cyber security, or for that matter, privacy and confidentiality completely. And one is what you sign as your terms of service. You don't sign, you just click it. And they say in America, I think if they go through those 100, 200 documents which they supposedly submit or sign or agree, it comes to 76 days of reading. And it is written in 4-size font. So deliberate, it's very, very deliberate. There is no rule of law. You're not being given the time. They don't want you to know. There is no legislation across the globe which says these are the standards on which a term of service should be signed. It is not an informed consent. It is blatantly fraud. It is being played on every single citizen on the face of the earth. If you believe in democracy, if you believe in rule of law, these things will not happen. So privacy is there. Then there is a context. I give you some information for my Gmail or Gtalk or whatever. You are using it for some other purpose. And purpose is unknown. It is being used as evidence. Data extraction has become a hobby for all great players, and a couple of those companies' names I don't remember, they have made it a $160 billion industry. So that is where data extraction operates, and in the manner it is just unimaginable and literally affects every single activity we indulge in, and whatever I never thought can be data also has been made data by them. and it is being sold. So there are creators of data, there are sellers of data, and they are enjoying whatever they want to, and we are stuck up in between. So we are not customers. We are not customers, we are products. We are products. Correct. So, and it is, this whole industry is basically a data extraction industry. So the data is extracted out of us, and it is being given to business concerns, organizations, or whatever. Data brokers, there are a large number of data brokers. And the most famed are the most mischievous. They are the most devious of the data brokers. I don't think there is any great IT company, more so a service provider, who doesn't have thousands of cases against them. And they shamelessly pursue their aggrandizement. It is a new sort of colonialism where you take over literally anything and everything. In the Snowden cases, it has been proved that 75% of the internet traffic is ripped apart by US and another 25% by UK. So that is what you are left with. If Angela Merkel did not have privacy, then who are we? So data brokers, then we come to the IT majors, the less said the better. Because all those beautiful ads and cajoling business and all that, it is made, you are made to believe that you are such a sweet person and we are also sweet and we can go ahead. So it is something of that nature. But actually that is not the case. If huge quantum of data, after aggregation, huge amount of analysis in a manner which I and you and me, we cannot imagine, is so easily being given. And if a police agency asks Facebook, you give me this, no, it is privacy law, that is privacy law. So broadly you can make out the trend, and I think it should be set right sooner than later. Regarding governments also, same issues are there. So there are specific instances wherein laws are not in place. And I think with regards to social media and all that, there is some section 4 of some act in the US, which literally they are left free. So somewhere there is some understanding that commerce should grow and things should grow, and it can grow at the cost of the citizen. So broadly these are the thoughts. Somewhere, somehow, it gives a feeling that the fence is eating the crop. We have reached a level where I don't think we have got too much of time. We still have time, but we ought to catch up. Cyber security is not a one-man's job. The whole society, polity, economy, and at least the people who are the major players, they have to be told that things will run in this fashion, and it has to start with all of us. Because we are not a, security-aware group or civilization. And we think it is somebody else's job. Quite a large number of us get caught in large number of issues because of our negligence. Still we don't improve. So broadly, this is a battle between knowledge, effort, focus and precision. Real-time, dynamic, global. And the government's glacial age response and MNC's blindfolded commercial focus. So that is where we stand. Now we open this for panel discussion. So we'll start with this. So I would request Dr. Nirmaljit Singh Kalsi, sir, Additional Secretary, Government of Punjab. He has done yeoman service in the IT field, both in Punjab, and has been the brainchild behind the CCTNS project. I request you, sir, to give your presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to spend some time on securing the cyberspace, particularly the information security aspect of it. Now today, internet is evolving, and today we are in an age which is really machine-to-machine age, which is beyond social media. And by next year or year next to that, we will see Internet of Things, wherein we will have people, data, processes, everything talking to each other. And that is the point where all this is going to be very, very interesting. That's called the third wave. Third wave to get the human efficiency improved. And in the third wave, we will have the networked everything and networked society. We have already been through two phases: network consumer electronics and network industries. Now this is the third phase. And in this phase, we believe that more than 20 billion devices are going to be connected. They are going to be connected online. Now if you look at the hype cycle, the Gartner's hype cycle, then Internet of Things is right now peaking absolutely at the top. Though there are other technologies like big data, M2M communication services. But IoT and IoE are absolutely topping. Now how this all has happened? This has happened because of the path-breaking inventions in microelectronics and the future trends which I can see in the market because of the low power devices, reduction in the sensor size, reduction in sensor cost, and low power microcontroller units. I can see more than 100 billion embedded devices. Now why I'm making all these points? Because all these sensors are creating data day in and day out. And this is a huge amount of data we are talking about. We are talking about data which is much beyond the personal data of people. Now, what we are actually doing, we are linking the physical world with virtual things. That is the architecture of IoT. We are linking physical world with virtual things. And that is where it is going to get very interesting. Let's look at the Indian cyberspace. 155 major ISPs, 150 million internet users, 946 million mobile users. Overall teledensity of about 75%. And if you look at the numbers, the other numbers, out of a population of 1.26 billion, 946 have mobile connections. 243 million are active internet users. 118 million active social media accounts. And active social media accounts, more than 100 million. Now out of this 946 million, more than 12% phones are smartphones. And you look at the rate at which they are growing, 39% plus. That's a huge number. Now since now we are also covering the new technologies, I find I must mention smart cities here. Smart cities, because smart cities are going to generate the maximum volume of data. It's basically making optimal use of big data from the embedded network sensors, and then it optimizes the infrastructure. Could be physical infrastructure, social infrastructure, institutional infrastructure, or economic infrastructure. And then we used to hear safe city initiatives. Now that has been subsumed in smart city initiative. So you have all kinds of markets available. Now this I am talking from the perspective of vendors. All kinds of markets are available. You have network security market, network connectivity market, integration services market, application services market, connected device platforms and application platforms. There's a huge market. There is every vertical which is working into this. And if you look at the architecture, you have enabling technologies, and then you have essential services. You could have any number of additional enabling technologies, and you could have any number of essential services or so-called responsibilities of the government or of the local bodies. Now, how it all operates? Basically, Smart City framework, you first embed the sensors throughout the infrastructure of the city. And then you monitor those sensors, you collect data through various protocols, and then you control various activities. You get into various domains, right from your building technologies, your homes, vehicles, industries, retail, medical, offices, municipal functions. Everything is being controlled. Now, look at the number of sensors which can be embedded. Practically for every little function, you're going to have a sensor. Now, India is a poor country. We cannot afford so many sensors. Even if we can afford sensors, we lay sensors in a new city. It is going to be an extremely difficult job to collect data, sift this data, and make a sense out of it. Now, if we look at the kind of architecture which is required to handle this kind of data, you have 4-layered architecture. You have data capture and connectivity layer, you have multi-service gateway network, you have data management, you have business applications. And a very important layer in between, which is called machine-to-machine integration platform. That's everywhere cloud-based services available. You connect to that cloud, so that's how you integrate M2M. You integrate with M2M platform. Now here you see large number of companies working. There are companies in RFID, there are companies in barcoding, companies in Ethernet, Wi-Fi, NFC, Zigbee. So there are huge number of companies working on different technologies. And there is a piece for everyone. But then we need some kind of an operating system, I won't call it, an operating environment, which is a city level environment or which is a state level environment, where everything can get in, every data can be collected, it can go onto the cloud, to the particular stack where it belongs, and then you analyze that data. Right now, if you look at the last 100 meters, maybe within your house, maybe within your office, there are 90% devices which are not connected yet. And there are only 10% devices which are connected. So this is called the 90-10 rule. Now our challenge is to connect these 90% devices. And these are going to be connected in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years, at the most by 2020. Now, since India is a poor country, we thought of thinking of some ways of collecting the data without embedding the sensors. And we find that smartphone today can replace host of gadgets and can act as last mile connector or last mile sensor, so to say. The smartphone can act as eyes, ears, location sensor, position sensor, direction, movement, speed, acceleration, closeness. Similarly, you can crowdsource information and you can provide spatial information, temporal information, environmental information, user characterization. All kinds of information is possible to be collected through these cell phones. And here comes our major challenge. Smart cities, city as a platform. for data sharing and smart services. So developing a secure ecosystem for applications and services, the last 100-meter connectivity of devices, then collection, integration, management, and optimal use of this big data. Could be structured, it could be semi-structured, but most of it is unstructured. Then analysis of this big data and operate actuators to react in real time, and most importantly, privacy, security, and personal information of this big data. Now, if you look at the technologies which are going to be extremely important, or which are extremely important: cloud computing, data analytics, data management, IT software, cyber security, IT infrastructure, mobile technologies, data centers. No, rest all is going down. So these are the technologies on which we cannot ignore. We'll have to really concentrate on these technologies. Now, big data, we'll have to collect the data, as I was talking about. You have to aggregate the data, you have to analyze the data, and then you have to act on this data. So you need standards for doing that. You need huge standards. Just to give you some idea about the number of transactions, and this is the ETAL figure which I took last night. And you see how many transactions, 256 crore transactions since January 2015. And when I analyzed the number of transactions state-wise, I can find, see, Gujarat, 1 transaction per month. Lakshadweep, 2 transactions, 1.94 transactions per month. You see the average 0.01 transactions per month. And if you take this number to a very respectable figure of, say, 100, you see, you multiply it by 10,000 times. So the amount of data which you're going to handle is going to be absolutely huge. Similarly, cloud, now today, you have Meghraj available. I recall the days when we were struggling with buying these servers and the server software. It used to take us more than a year even for a simple procurement. Today, if you want to achieve the same thing, you can just do it in 10 minutes time. Just go onto the portal and you place your order. You make the payment from government to government, and then you have your system up and running. Similarly, cloud is the way for every smart city. Cloud is the way for all government application. I'll just mention a very small example. In Delhi, we wanted to implement a very small program that anybody downloading a small piece of software on the mobile will be able to know as to which police station area he is standing, who is the thana in charge, what is his number. You can call him directly. And also you will get the crime statistics of that thana. Suppose you are hiring a house in that thana area. So you'll know how safe this area is. So when I wanted to do it the other way, the cost quoted was huge, more than 1 crore. And the time required was shown to be more than 12 months. But when we implemented it on a cloud, everything was just happened in about 30 days time. And the cost was less than 2 lakhs. So cloud is the way to go. Now finally, developing a secure application and services ecosystem. You have to have cross-section of various aspects of national security, public safety, public security, and public health, privacy issue, IPR, regulatory issues. And then you have other dimensions. You have cybercrime, espionage attack, remote attacks. Think of, say, drones for surveillance. Today, there are no controls for drones. There are no licenses for drones. Google glasses. There is no law which bans Google glasses in India, though they have banned it in some of the installations. But throughout the world, need to create those laws. Then suppose it is self-driving cars. In case of failure, who is liable? Whether the company is liable, whether the passenger is liable. Suppose a child is traveling in that car, whether you hold the parents of the child responsible for that. Who would be responsible? So these are some of the very important issues. Similarly, trade union versus automation. Now, when we talk about data security and information security, we talk about the entire life cycle of information. I am not going to go into details of information security. I will simply mention about the way Government of India has gone about it. Now, there are levels, cyber crime, then cyber espionage, cyber terrorism, and cyber warfare. That's a full-fledged warfare. And this cyber and information security concerns are becoming the top concerns for every organization and every individual. And the attack methods have gone very, very sophisticated. Ransomware is growing very fast. They will capture your device and they will release it only if you pay them something. So the end point is that attackers are turning to the Internet of Things. And that is where the entire world is going. So IoT and IoE, they are going to be the biggest targets. The kind of information people are targeting. This is the top 10 kinds of information people are targeting. Your personal information, your medical records, your phone numbers, your government ID, your addresses, your emails. Because most of the authentication happens with the combination of some of these parameters. Now, 2 or 3 parameters they'll take and they'll combine it, and then you will be authenticated. Now, I also wanted to share with you that cyber security is a very big area, and there are a number of ministries involved in Government of India in handling this. Now, there are overlaps, and still there are tough fights. MHA is handling information security, information classification and codification along with IB. Then NIC in DIT is handling government IT infrastructure. Similarly, DIT CERTIN is handling the entire cyberspace as a whole. NTR is handling only the critical information infrastructure out of that cyberspace. DOT is handling security of communication infrastructure, whereas individual departments have been made responsible for any crisis management plan, any crisis which happens within the organization. So that is broadly the structure. So what we did, we divided this entire information, entire data into 6 layers: strategic layer, internal security layer, critical sector layer, then government information layer, financial layer, and finally the commercial layer. So these 6 layers, and then we studied the worldwide standards which have been applied by various countries, various organizations to handle their data. And based on that, we came up with the National Information Security Policy and Guidelines. Now, it took us about a year to publish this document. It has 8 core domains, 5 other essential domains, 112 guidelines, 135 control objectives, and 182 implementation guidelines. And then we mapped this document to ISO 27001, both 2005 as well as 2013. Then we mapped it to FISMA and NIST as well. We also looked at SANS 20 control. And then we removed the gaps wherever we found. So just for your interest, these are the 8 core domains and 5 essential domains which we have identified: data security, application security, identity and access management, network and infrastructure management, then security monitoring and incident management, threat and vulnerability management, then personal security, physical security. So these are the 8 domains, main domains. And then there are other domains: business continuity, disaster recovery, security audit, security testing, then cloud computing, virtualization, mobility, and social media. So that is when cloud into one. And then open source. And you have all kinds of details available. What kind of controls are to be applied, what kind of management guidelines are to be applied, and what kind of implementation guidelines are to be applied. So this document has been finalized, it has been circulated, it is mandated for all the government departments, all the PSUs, and those private companies which are working with the government. Only to the extent they are working with the government, it's applicable to them. So I would say that we need to create standards, we need to evolve standards for everything, the way we handle it. So security and laws are changing from the requirement of the physical world to virtual world, and our laws are just not suited for the virtual world as of now. So we need to correct that situation. We cannot predict technology, so we'll have to go along with it. We'll have to quickly modify the law. Otherwise, law is modified some 5 to 6 years later than the technology. So unless we do that, there's a big threat to the national security as well as to the individual security and organizational security. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And as you said, the way forward is standards and legal enablement, though reactive, that shall happen. Thank you, sir, for a very, very comprehensive, crystal clear presentation on large number of issues related to Internet of Things, big data, smart city, cyber security architecture, connected devices, cloud computing, and the IT framework in which we operate and where we intend to move in the days to come. Now I would request Sri Rajit Punani, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, to make his presentation.
I will not make a presentation because I think it's now not enough time and it's time for lunch. We've overshot our time. I just want to flag a few issues which I think are important. In government, what happens is that we're not really able to keep up with the changing technology, and right now, while we are in the ministry, I say we are trying to tackle certain things at a certain level, and then technology moves on. Now, for example, smartphone is the latest technology, but social media is now used in more ways than just by society. We see very often now that social media is used for mobilizing people if they want to move against the government. These social media is used for influencing mindsets, maybe in a manner which is again detrimental to national security. Now, what are the measures which we need to take now to secure or influence social media or our smartphones when it comes to WhatsApp? Now you have Telegram, etc., etc. And I would welcome industry if they can throw light on these aspects during maybe the course over the next, maybe in the afternoon or tomorrow. Because I think right now, I don't know how many of us or all of us are in a mood to discuss this further. So I won't stand in the way. If there are any questions, we would be willing to answer them. Thank you.
I think Rajit went the way the sentiments are, I presume. So anyway, you people find time to interact with him, and let's hope something worthwhile happens over supposedly non-productive evenings. Now I would request Sri Shankar Narayana, Associate Vice President, Security Services SIFI Technologies Limited, to make his presentation.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thanks for the other panelists. And I am the last hurdle between you and the lunch. So I also won't take much time, but I also don't have a presentation to make, first of all. So there are some couple of points which I wanted to make, quick points on. One is securing cyberspace. That is the topic, right? And I feel that from my perspective, I think that's a paradox. There is nothing called securing the cyberspace. It could be like, for example, whether you can secure yourself from the cyberspace. That could be one of the points. Leaving aside that, what I would say is that, one aspect is, first of all, yes, of course, as Sanjay and the others talked about, there are so many threats. There are so many things which are there. But you cannot live without internet. That is a fact today. Let us accept that. So in that case, how do you actually protect yourself from that? That is the first aspect which I want to talk about. See, just want to give an analogy. In fact, and I've been in this information security space for the past 15 years. And one typical analogy is like, the first thing what we go and tell the customer is that, yes, you have a market, you have a house, correct? You want the house to be in between the market, correct? So you cannot live without both of that. But at the same time, what you can at the best do is protect your house, correct? You cannot protect the market. So in that case, what are the things you can do to protect your house? Okay, is what you can look at. So there are so many ways of doing it on the cyberspace, or probably on your own data within your organizations, etc., etc. But one thing which I want to point out is that the moment you adopt whatever controls you have on a personal note on your house, okay, how do you protect? For example, if you have a diamond likeness in your residence, you don't need anybody to come and consult you in terms of how to protect it, right? Because you know the value of it. You know the moment you lose it, what is that you are losing? What is the value you are losing? The moment you are able to get that perspective onto your official data, or probably your official whatever, in terms of your documents or whatever, then in that case, the way you protect, or the sensitivity with which you can you attach to the data is much more important. Because why I'm saying is, as Mr. Sanjay was talking about, most of the prediction, most of the reports, most of the data breach reports, what they talk about, they are not talking about, yes, hacking is there. Nobody is saying that. But what they also talk about is that the most simple and effective way of preventing these threats is that, common, like, password 123, what he was talking about. And it's a fact. It's not, he's not joking. The password 123 is the most common thing, which is there almost all the administrative accounts on the routers, on the edge routers, on the switches, on the firewalls. Amazing. How every time, every report, every annual report talks about the same thing. By using some common sense, not even a technology, I won't say, by using common sense, how you can prevent all those things, how the human person, without using much of the technologies, can prevent those threats, is there in all the data breach reports, right? So that is something which is one aspect which we need to be very clear about. How we can actually put our own governance on some basic things. I'm not talking about technologies. The second aspect and the last aspect is on how do you really secure cyberspace. So the only perspective is that, how do you secure the cloud? Correct? Because that is the only cyberspace which you can actually have some control on. So to that extent, you will be able to do some controls or put some control on the cloud. So it is not as pessimistic as Mr. Sanjay pointed out. Yes, there are threats. There are, you are at warfare. Yes, there are all criminals around the world. Everything. But again, cloud is a necessary evil. Again, you cannot live without it. 2 years back, when we are talking about cloud, okay, people are talking about how do you do something so that you don't move to the cloud. right? There are threats, there are personal information, privacy, data loss. Nobody is, nobody can be, really. You cannot have the confidence on any of the service providers. So you are sharing the data with everyone, etc., etc. But today, what is there? Again, you are actually putting your public or rather your private property, which is your data, okay? But you have to ensure that it is protected. So there are good things which are happening on the cloud security part as well. So it is again taking a typical analogy, like for example, you are putting an ATM in the market. There are so many bankers here, right? You are putting an ATM in the market. Again, why do you feel that people are able to have confidence that their money is there in the market, but still they won't lose their money? Correct? Because they have an assurance that come what may, you are able to give an assurance that your ATM cannot be broken, or I take the responsibility of the data if somebody is breaking down to the ATM, etc., etc. What I am trying to drive the point is, yes, the moment you are able to provide the assurance that you are creating the necessary and sufficient controls on the cloud platform, okay, people will move on to the cloud. And there are consortiums which are coming up. For example, the Cloud Security Alliance, okay, has developed specific programs. They are writing down standards. What are the governance standards? What are the, for each and every vertical, what are the areas which has to be taken care of? There are certifications which are coming up. So for example, there is something called Cloud Security certifications. So it's called CCSK, something I don't remember. But what I'm trying to say is, ISC, if you know CSSP, many of them will know about CSSP, right? It is from an institution called ISC Squared. So ISC Squared has tied up with the Cloud Security Alliance to come out with a specific certification, which is called Certified Security Cloud Security Professional. What it means that there are standards which are evolving, there are things which are coming into control, there are a lot of things you can actually do on the security for the cloud, so that you don't have to worry about it. You can confidently move the data, your data, into the cloud. So those are all the 2 points which I wanted to make. Thank you.
Thank you, Shankar Narayan. I think the participants are already on cloud 9. So I would certainly not come in between the participants and the panel here. If there are any questions, I think we can entertain 1 or 2 questions and we will wind up for lunch, if any. Otherwise, my sincere thanks for Gautam for making his presentation, and Dr. Nirmaljeet Singh Kalsi sir for having come and given a very comprehensive presentation. Rajit Pulane for a very short, crisp and precise, and giving you an open-ended invitation for later discussions. And Sri Shankar Narayanan for making crystal clear that cloud is not as dangerous as I made it out to be. My sincere thanks to the organizers for having given me a chance to moderate, and all my panel members to be extremely cooperative with me, and me taking, I think, the maximum share of whatever we did. And extremely thankful to all of you for your rapt attention. We'll certainly meet in future and near future. Thanks a lot.
Apologies for the paucity of time, apologies for the delays. So we conclude this session here, and I request Mr. Sahai to present a memento to Dr. Nirmaljeet Singh Kalsi, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Punjab, as a token of thanks. To Shri Rajat Punhani, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. Mr. Shankar Narayanan, Associate Vice President, Security Services, SIFI Technologies Limited. And Shri Gautam Guradia, Chief Executive Officer of COMSA. And may I request Kalsi, Dr. Kalsi to please present a memento to Mr. Sahai. for his excellent moderating and excellent presentation. And I request all the panelists for a group photo. If we can have a group photo, sir. Yeah, and just to tell you all that we are updating photos on Facebook. Live updating is happening. You can search eGov magazine on Facebook and privacy issues, yeah. So JSMHA has raised a very important issue that yes, we are putting people's photo without their permission. I am very sorry for that. Thank you very much, esteemed guests, esteemed speakers. Thank you very much. And now we will break for lunch. And I request everybody to be gathered at 3:15 after 45 minutes for the next session, which is on healthcare, innovation in healthcare. Thank you very much.